Large John McCarthy and Islam discuss Puria versus Oliveira for the unclaimed lightweight title at UFC 317. Makhachev is formally becoming a welterweight. Two of the most exciting names in the sport are the ideal candidates to compete for the UFC lightweight title now that it's back on the table. Charles Oliveira and Ilia Topuria. This clash, which is scheduled for International Fight Week at UFC 317, is extremely important, and Big John didn't waste any time in explaining what fans can anticipate when these two killers square off. Let's start by discussing momentum. After brutally overthrowing Alex Volkanovski and destroying Max Holloway, El Matador is currently enjoying a wave of dominance. During his initial defense, the unbeaten Georgian is now concentrating on lightweight gold. Ilia is already one of the most dangerous pressure fighters in the UFC, thanks to his quick footwork and deadly boxing. And the worst part is that he's continuously getting better. However, the submissive king himself is in his way. The Bronx's Charles Oliveira, a past champion with a long list of accomplishments, Oliveira infuses every battle with chaos, unpredictability, and superior jiu-jitsu. Big John emphasized that although Oliveira has appeared weak in the past, his ability to win at any time makes him a terrible opponent for anyone, including Topuria.
Man, I'll tell you what, this is a great fight. Although Ilia is very good on the ground, I think that, he can be caught just like anybody. Charles has gotten into that, it really changed him as a fighter as far as how dangerous he became, because you could hurt him and he was going to try to hurt you back right away. He's just this guy now that you're looking. I think Topuria is a perfect blend of dangerous on the feet with power. He's not a real kicker, where Charles is very good, especially with that front push and deep kick that he throws. He uses it as a jab, and he keeps on coming back to hitting you in the solar plexus, hitting you to the sternum, all these places that he keeps on popping. It affects you. It affects your breathing rhythm. It does a lot of things to you. He uses more of the kickboxing, Muay Thai look. He brings the leg up a lot and stuff, where Topuria is more boxing centric, but he'll kick at times.
Ali Abdulaziz, Islam Makhachev's manager, launched bullets at Ilia Topuria and outlined Islam's stance in detail. He affirmed that Islam had no real intention of abandoning lightweight, only if Belal Muhammad lost would it occur. And the door is wide open now that he has the manager claims that Islam would have remained at lightweight and unwillingly defended against Topuria if Belal had kept the welterweight title at UFC 315. However, Islam didn't hesitate when Jack Della Maddalena grabbed that gold in Montreal, and Abdulaziz didn't pass up the chance to disparage Ilia in the process. He made it apparent that Islam should be thanked for leaving, since Makhachev wouldn't have been fighting if he had stayed. For UFC gold to them, this is a gift. Charles and Ilia are currently vying for a vacant title, but according to Abdulaziz, everyone is aware of the true champion. Islam never lost. He left on his own terms, not because it was taken away from him. Islam not only dominated the division, but also cleared it out entirely with a 15-fight winning streak, 8 finishes in his last 9 fights, and 5 title fights in just over 2 years. He thinks a fully fueled, non-depleted Makhachev at 170 will destroy the division, stating, quote, he will have 2 belts over his shoulder, since he continues to be the lightweight champion. Additionally, Topuria was told to be grateful. If Islam didn't step aside, Ilia wouldn't even be able to compete for a UFC title. Similar to Khabib's departure as king, Islam now seeks to occupy 2 thrones, one through physical succession and the other through legacy.
If he have to fight Ilia, no problem, he would have fought Ilia. But when Islam go out there and finish Ilia, he was almost 4-1 underdog, favorite, right? People are going to say, and Ilia is a very skilled fighter. I'm not taking anything away from him. It's always, I respect him as a fighter, But if Islam go there, starch him or beat him, right? That people are going to say he beat a 45-pounder. Honestly, the UFC was great. I was last night to the office to probably 4 in the morning, tried to get stuff done. The one thing, Islam will fight this year. This is the word that was given to me by Hunter, by Dana, by everybody. They always, whatever they say, they do. And he will fight someone It can be anybody, but Jack mentally now the champion. Islam will fight him, but Jack is not ready. This belt will be Islam will fight for the belt, not an interim belt, for a real UFC belt.
Prior to UFC 319, Khamzat Chimaev threatens Dricus Du Plessis with death. In a hilarious moment, when he was asked about his eagerly awaited fight with DDP at UFC 319 on Adam Zuba's Russian YouTube channel, Khamzat lost control of his emotions. When the reporter brought up DDP's recent trash talk, which went beyond fight promotion into extremely personal territory, the Chechen star didn't hold back. Although the two celebrities have a lengthy history of exchanging derogatory remarks, DDP's public mockery of Khamzat's broken lip, a noticeable scar from childhood, was particularly noteworthy. The presentation wasn't merely cheesy. It touched on a deeper subject related to difficulties in real life and personal background, making the comment far more scathing than it initially appeared. Many fans are unaware that Khamzat had that injury while escaping an attack on his town, tumbling downstairs as mayhem broke out all around him. That scar serves as a reminder of Khamzat's survival and should not be laughed at. The disrespect touched a raw emotion. In addition to his wrath, Khamzat's response sounded uncannily similar to a death threat. He clarified that this conflict is now about more than simply business. Here is a quote from Khamzat. "I am aware that this is a combat sport. Inside the cage, we bleed after punching each other in the face. Thus, conversing is not insane. Professionalism must still exist. There will be some pretty unpleasant things that happen because you talk too much. You know, someone might pass away." Final quotation. Even though UFC 319 was already looking like it would be huge, the buildup will be crazy now that the emotions are so intense and personal. It's all about that chin. And Aljamain Sterling is supporting Ilia Topuria to dash Charles Oliveira's ambitions of winning the title. Sterling drew attention to Oliveira's career's recurrent motif of being fired. Oliveira, one of the sickest submission specialists in UFC history, has lost 4 of his last 7 fights via TKO and has been knocked down in 4 of his previous 7 appearances. His record Oliveira suffered some significant damage later in his most recent bout against Michael Chandler at UFC 309, but Sterling views this as a severe red signal, particularly against someone like Topuria, who is now competing at 155 and says he feels even stronger there. Sterling emphasized that the Georgian's power endures at 155 by pointing out how he was once dropped by Jai Herbert, but returned with a vicious knockout. With greater size, power, and the same laser-like accuracy, Aljo thinks that if Ilia lands clean, Charles may have a difficult evening. He even declared Topuria a 2-division champion, demonstrating his strong belief in Ilia's ascent. Do you agree with Aljo's predictions for this crazy lightweight clash? Post a comment below.